and home improvement. Enjoy being educated in such topics as personal injury law, community association law, family law, bankruptcy law, along with health show topics like pain management, men's health, and dental implants. Now, sit back and enjoy today's Ask the Experts with host Steve-O.
Hey, we are on. It's a nice sunny day in Boca Raton, Florida, and my nose is growing. It is crummy out there, but it's okay because we are, for the next hour, this is the Ask the Expert show. We have on our show today somebody who I am telling you, we never got so many emails requesting that we do a show on real estate law and business law. And we were, as always, lucky to find one of the, she can't say this, but I can, to find one of the top real estate and business attorneys. Welcome, Marlyn Wiener.
Thank you.
Attorney Marlyn Wiener.
Thank you, Steve. It's great to be here with you.
I'm so excited about this show because you do, and if it involves real estate, you do it.
That's true.
And then I got to tell everybody, starting next month, we are so excited. We are going from 6 to 7 p.m. on Mondays and Thursdays. So we're really going to be drive time. We can take you home. Today, we're going to be talking about real estate law. Marlyn, tell us about your law firm.
Okay, I'm a solo practitioner here in Florida. I have offices in Boca Raton and Aventura, and my practice is pretty much split between real estate transactions and business transactions. I'm also a title and closing agent for all kinds of closings.
What do you like better? Do you like real estate law or business law better?
I like whatever I'm working on, really, at that moment.
Good answer. Good answer. But God, with all the real estate going on down here, that is, and I know because there's a lot of pages.
It's what Florida is really all about.
It is.
1,000 people a week move to Florida, and most
Probably
of
from
them,
New York.
a lot from the Northeast, and ultimately most of them do become homeowners here. And that's the beauty of Florida. There's real estate in every price point, and it's where everybody seems to end up.
Boy, the Sawgrass, that's whole Sawgrass Mall area, what they're doing over there, they are building so many high-rises there, and people are, thanks to Mr. de Blasio, are moving to Florida. And besides today, usually our weather is great here. How long have you been practicing?
I've been practicing since 1981, so you can do the math, a long time. I've been in Florida.
But you're only 36 years old.
I was a child attorney. I've been in Florida since 2005, so I've been practicing here since 2005. I'm also licensed in New York, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, but just practice in Florida at this time.
Very good. So we're going to be, now you do cover Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach.
Correct, and I actually also do work on the West Coast, up in Jacksonville, stuff outside of Tampa, really wherever my clients need me.
There seems so many investors buying real estate down here.
Yes, we have a lot of foreign investment.
Yes,
particularly in Miami. Foreign investors love Miami high-rises. And Broward, we have a tremendous amount of investment from Canadians.
I never knew it was broken down like that.
It really,
and then the president's going to go back to Palm Beach.
Well, yes, so it seems.
Yes. So if you know of somebody who wants to invest in real estate property down here, it would be great for them to call you. You got to have an attorney to do this.
Absolutely. I mean, you know, and we get the question.
Don't do this yourself.
Well, we get the question all the time because a lot of, people say, well, my realtor said I don't really need an attorney. And there are some transactions that can go smoothly without an attorney. It is possible. But when you hit a glitch, when you hit a roadblock, when you hit a bump, you really do need an attorney.
Right. And sometimes it's better to do it up front.
Well, I best serve you when I'm involved from the very beginning. Okay? We can avoid a lot of problems if I review a contract.
You know all the problems.
Basically, yes.
Exactly.
I can anticipate where you're going to have an issue. And if I review a contract before you've signed it, I can fix it. But once you've signed it, I can't change what you signed.
It's so funny. People want to do things.
And that's the issue. And a lot of folks come, for example, from New Jersey, which has a 3-day attorney review clause. We don't have that in Florida. And they get,
What is that?
well, if you sign a contract in New Jersey that is Realtor prepared, it has an automatic 3-day attorney review clause. You basically can cancel it. Your
Oh,
attorney cancels the contract for you. We don't have that automatic provision in Florida, but people who come from New Jersey are used to that, and they're
Gotcha.
shocked when I tell them that, no, we don't have that. So,
you
best
have a checklist in your mind
always.
that the normal Joe does not have this checklist, and there can easily be something that they forget because they were trying to save money to do it themselves.
Also, yes, and obviously attorneys are looking for things that, the layperson would not know to look for. Okay, we kind of know where the bodies are buried, so to speak.
I got you. So let's talk about tax bills just went out.
Yeah, the tax bills just went out. I've gotten so many calls in the last week or two about the tax bills. For people who it's their first time owning real estate in Florida, the big surprise is that we pay our taxes in arrears.
Okay.
So the bill that you just received in November is for 2019. It's for the taxes for the period January 1, 2019 to December 31st.
No matter what county.
No matter what county, this is how we bill in Florida.
Okay.
So we're paying in arrears. That's the first thing. Second thing is you get a discount in Florida. If you pay that bill by the end of November, it's a 4% discount.
Oh, so it's worth it.
Absolutely. 3% December, 2% January, 1% February. So it's important to take advantage of the discount. People also ask, well, can I appeal, the tax assessment, my bill? Yes, but it's too late for this year.
Right.
Okay? The time to appeal that assessment was in August.
Always in August every year.
It's called the trim notice. It's the estimate.
Well, when do you get the notice?
You get it in August. Okay, you
So
get
that's
an
when you have to
estimate. You get
appeal.
an estimate of what the property appraiser is proposing what the new tax bill will be. And you've got a tight window. It's basically a 30-day window to submit an appeal if you have the grounds for one. But once that appeal period expires, you've got to wait till your next cycle.
What? And you're appealing to the state?
No, to the Value Petition Board, which is at the county level.
Okay.
At the county level.
Do you ever get involved in appeals?
I don't handle tax appeals, but I can always refer somebody. There's lots of good counsel that will handle them. And also people can do it themselves. I recommend an expert, but, people can handle them. They can submit a petition themselves.
You're new to the show. I got to tell you, I get so upset when people think that they can handle these things by themselves, and it's usually to try to save money, but it always comes around to bite them in the butt, and it ends up costing them so much more.
Cost them,
and I hear these stories all the time.
And you're also talking about something that could save you a lot of money ultimately.
Right.
If you've got a bad assessment, you're paying, your property's been wrongly assessed. Getting a reduction in your taxes is a significant savings over time. Which kind of leads us into something you and I were talking about, which is the Homestead Exemption.
The Homestead.
Which is
Why do people not understand that?
Yeah, one of the most valuable, programs we have in Florida is the Homestead Exemption, which is available to Florida residents if your home is your primary residency. Okay?
What makes it your primary residence?
It's a combination of intent and occupancy.
Okay, how long you're there for?
Yes, it has to be that you really do live in Florida. It is your residency. It's basically more than 6 months and a day in the calendar year. But truly you live there. Your driver's license
But
is
you might
there.
also live in New York.
You might have a second home elsewhere, but Florida is your primary
Okay.
residence. And
How do you make it your primary residence? Is it about how long you live there out of the year?
It's length of time, of course. I mean, you have to live in Florida the required number of days per calendar year. But you also, living in Florida requires that basically you live your life in Florida. Your bank accounts are here. Your driver's
okay.
license is here. Your auto is registered here. You vote here. You file your tax returns from Florida. Your investment accounts are here. Your library
You have
card
a lot
is
of ways
here.
to prove it.
Yes, and there's, a laundry list of items.
Do you apply for homestead exemption?
Yes, and homestead exemption, and it's you've got to fit into the box when it's time to file for homestead exemption. To be eligible for homestead exemption in Florida, you must have owned the property as of January 1 of that year. So for
Okay.
argument's sake, you would be applying for a 2020 homestead for a property. You must own it, deed of record, as of January 1st, 2020.
Or you have to wait till the next year?
Exactly. You've got to wait to the next year. You have to have your driver's license, your auto registration, and your voter ID all at that property address. And
So you have to go there, physically go there to show them everything?
well, most of the counties have an application that can be filed
Okay.
online, though they also accept in-person applications. But you have to file by March 1st of the year that you're applying for. I mean, you could own the property for 5 years, but maybe it wasn't your primary residence,
Right.
but you're ready for 2020. But you've got to file your application by March 1st.
Okay.
Of 2020, have all your ducks in a row, your documents into the property appraiser, they'll review your package, presumably you'll get your exemption. And that does a number of things for you. It sets your base value for real estate taxes going forward. So you will get your exemption. Essentially, it's a bit of a formula, but basically, the first $50,000 of value is exempt from tax. So there's a tax savings. And on a going forward basis, your increases on annual real estate taxes are capped at 3% a year.
Okay.
So in a time of rising values, which fortunately we are in again, that's a big savings. Okay, so it's your taxes are not going to rise with market value. Okay, they're going to be locked in at no more than a 3% annual increase.
Marlyn, you should have been a professor. It's so easy to follow you. What about now? Is this a good time to buy a house?
I think it's always
Rates
a good.
are way
It's
down.
always a good time to buy a house. Rates are great, and I think for most people, especially with mortgage rates where they are, home ownership on a monthly basis is probably less money than rent
Wow.
for a lot of people. I mean, the numbers are going to be individual to that person, but
What would you say to a first-time home buyer? You're going to buy a home for the first time. What is the process and what should they be looking for?
I think the first thing a first-time home buyer has to do is figure out what they can afford. Okay,
Monthly payments?
monthly payments, what their budget is, what should I even be looking at? And so the first thing a first-time home buyer has to do is work with either a mortgage broker, a bank, some sort of financial institution to get pre-qualified.
Okay.
Have to figure
Do that first before you
got
start
to
looking
do
at
that
houses.
first. Okay, you've got to figure out what can I afford? What's my budget? And also find out, am I ready from a credit standpoint? Okay, are there blemishes on my credit that I've got to fix? Do I need more savings? Do we not have enough down payment yet? Get somebody to look at your picture to figure out, am I ready to be a buyer?
So there's people that do this.
Absolutely.
Okay.
A good mortgage broker, a good banker will be able to pre-qualify you and also tell you, if it's you're a little premature, these are the steps you need to take.
Because
to
Fannie
be
Mae did a horrible job back when. I mean, everybody, it didn't matter how much you had
Well, we
or
went.
didn't have.
Yes, and that we had everybody. The world crashed on
I know,
us.
I
Okay,
know.
so
Is it tougher now to qualify?
it is tougher, but we still have programs. FHA is still a fantastic program for first-time home buyers and for others, even not first-time home buyers, because it's a low down payment program, and that's the great thing about it is that people can get in with basically a 3.5% down payment.
Wow.
It can be gift money. So there's some wonderful opportunities out there for financing for first-time home buyers, and
Are there some tax saving tips at all for a home buyer? Remember, they've never owned a home before.
Well, they will get the benefits of, deductions for real estate taxes and interest. Of course, we do have caps on the deduction for real estate taxes and interest on the most recent tax laws, but there still are great benefits.
How's the real estate market down here? It's got to be booming because you hear so many people from New York want to get out of the big taxes and even California.
I mean, the realtors are better to address it than me, but I think, from my vantage point, I mean, I still see the single-family home market as extremely strong. I do. I think people still want to live in single-family homes. I think the condo market in Miami now is got a lot of overbuilding again. So there's a tremendous inventory there that's been built again with, a wave of, new construction. But I think in the single-family market, we don't have much land left to build on in Broward, Palm Beach County, Miami-Dade. There's very little land
investors
left.
all out of the country. Investors all want the high rise.
They want the
Miami.
high rise because they want maintenance-free ownership.
Ah, that's the reason.
That's the reason for them. They can't be bothered with maintaining a home, so they want maintenance-free. If they want to rent it out, they want an easy rental situation. The single-family home is really for the owner-occupant, and there's very little land left here. So
we went over the preparation for the first-time home buyer. Now you found a home. Now what?
Well, we one step back. You've got to work with a good realtor to find a home. I mean, it's hard to do it on your own. Okay.
Any suggestions how to? There's so many realtors down here.
I mean, obviously, you interview people. Always, I think referral is always the best place to start. Friends, family who've had a good experience with somebody, that's a great place to start. Sometimes if you've identified certain neighborhoods that you're really interested in, you'll kind of see who are the go-tos in that neighborhood. It becomes obvious, That's a way, to find somebody to work with and interview people. See if you've got a little bit of chemistry, because I think that helps. It really does help.
And I also think, don't go above your means.
No, and that's what the
fast way to get into trouble.
Exactly, and that's where the pre-qualifying comes in. Know what your budget is, know what you should be looking at, and especially for first-time home buyers. I mean, it's a new world for them.
Are there different types of contracts when you're buying a home?
Basically, in our area, in Florida, most realtors, most real estate attorneys use what are called the FAR bar contracts. And these are the contracts that have been jointly developed by the Florida Association of Realtors and the Florida Bar. And these their committees have spent hours and hours putting these together.
So you can trust those contracts.
Yes, and they're revised very frequently, and they try to address the what-ifs. And so most of the professionals use these contracts.
The show is going so fast. I just looked at the clock. It's already 5:20. We got to go to commercial break.
All right, sounds
We're
good.
going to go to break, and we come back more with Marlyn Wiener.
The law firm of Marlyn J. Wiener, PA, is a small, focused South Florida law firm delivering high-quality legal services in a personal way. Her firm concentrates on real estate law, business transaction, and acting as a title and closing agent. Attorney Wiener combines over 30 years of solid real estate and business law expertise with understanding and compassion for her clients' needs. Attorney Marlyn Wiener works with homeowners and local and foreign real estate investors who are buying and selling Florida real estate. She assists with deed transfers, residential and commercial sales and leases, title insurance, first-time home buying, and loan closings. Whether you are buying or selling residential or commercial real estate, you need sound legal advice. The law office of Marlyn J. Wiener, PA, can help. To schedule a consultation, please call 561-443-7124.
We are back. We're here today. We're doing our real estate show on Ask the Experts. We're here with attorney Marlyn Wiener. She has an office both in Hollywood and Boca Raton. Give everybody your phone number.
561 443-7124 in Boca, and at our Aventura office, 305-725-4971.
What is your website? You got such a great website.
Thank you.
I've been bragging on it since I met you today.
Thank you. www.mwfloridalaw.com.
And you can actually go back probably by the weekend or by Monday and go to Marlyn's website and actually watch today's show. It'll be up on her website. What is earnest money?
Earnest money is
The deposit.
Is the deposit, and everybody asks about it all the time. How much of a deposit do I have to put down? Where is my deposit?
Yes, right.
Can I lose my deposit? A lot of realtors and real estate attorneys will say that the standard in the industry is a 10% deposit,
Okay.
10% of the purchase price. There's no law that it has to be 10%. It is negotiable.
Up to the seller.
Seller and buyer to negotiate. So there are some sellers that will stand firm, won't take less than a 10% deposit. There are others that will negotiate. So that's between buyer and seller. What I typically like to
What is this saying? I'm putting a deposit down, and
Okay.
in turn, you're going to do what?
Well, it's the deposit is required when you sign the contract, or typically within 3 days of the effective date. The effective date of a contract is the date that the last party signs or initials the last change. Then we know we've got a contract.
Okay.
And the deposit is due either that day or sometimes it's within 3 days after that. But that deposit is due. That makes the contract binding. But it's
What
how
if I'm
much?
not happy?
Well, depends.
Okay.
It all depends. Okay, it depends what your contract says.
So it's spelled out in the contract.
Yes, and that's why it's so important to have guidance, review, advice before you sign that contract.
Because you could lose your entire deposit.
If you don't have, the outs, okay, you don't have those what we call contingencies.
Are those harder, though, to get signed off on?
No, not necessarily. It depends what you're asking for. Okay, what is typical to get is certainly an inspection.
Okay.
Length of time might be negotiated. Is it going to be 7 days, 10 days, or 15 days? But, most buyers are going to insist on an inspection. I think they should have it.
Because I know everything about real estate. I watch million dollar listing, Los Angeles and New York. So I know everything.
Right. Well, everybody, until you start poking around on the
Yes.
property that you want to buy.
Right.
And so you want to inspect the
So that's
property.
important.
Extremely important.
If you back out, you could lose your entire deposit.
If you don't back out within the terms of your contract.
Right.
And that's what's critical. And one thing that's absolutely critical, in Florida contracts, dates matter. Extremely important. So, for example, if you have a 10-day inspection that permits you to have an inspection, and if you're not happy, terminate within your 10-day inspection period. Don't raise your hand on day 11.
Because you might find out some things about the house
course.
you're not happy with.
Exactly. Don't raise your hand on day 11 and say, I'm canceling, because
Right.
guess what? You blew it, okay? Or you might have a financing contingency. Typical financing.
I don't get a loan.
Exactly, is 30 days is the typical time frame to get a loan commitment. If you don't get your loan commitment in 30 days, you've got to raise your hand and say, I didn't get it, I'm exercising my right to cancel. But if you don't raise your hand, you've blown that opportunity.
Again, where does that money sit at?
It can be in a variety of places. It might be one of the realtor's offices are holding the escrow deposit. It might be a title company. It might be the buyer's attorney. It might be the seller's attorney. That is also negotiated. But any of those parties that
I would never think that would be negotiable.
well,
Where the money actually sits at.
actually, it does.
Wow.
Yes, actually, and it can be fought about sometimes.
And I didn't know you could negotiate
Well,
the
some,
deposit.
Yes, you can. And what I typically try to do is have whatever the deposit is, I typically try to have a smaller amount when we sign, and then the balance due after my client is satisfied with the inspection.
Okay.
So let's not put up the whole thing until we know we're staying in the deal. Because if we're going to cancel, I'd rather be fighting to get back the smaller deposit than the bigger
Do you ever
deposit.
have to fight the person that's holding the deposit?
I have had clients involved in deposit disputes, yes.
Even though they have a contract?
Yes, and what happens is, and we all have to follow the same rules, okay? Whether the realtor holds a deposit, seller's attorney, buyer's attorney, we're all escrow agents. And we're all bound by the same rules, which is we have to follow the terms of the contract. We cannot release those deposits except within the terms of the contract, which is typically according to written directions of buyer and seller or a court order.
Wow.
We can't make our own unilateral decision. Oh, I agree with your argument. Here's the money. We can't do that. So our hands are tied. And that's where we get into some difficulties.
Okay, now don't get mad. I'm going to ask you a question that is a little different than on our papers.
Sure.
Why should I retain you?
Because you're going to have somebody who's going to be with you from the beginning of the transaction to the end, highly experienced, but who cares? Really, really cares about her clients.
I think we can tell that in your voice. I think we can. You've got the experience, and we talked about, and you have jumped hoops to get your practice where it is now. It just didn't come easy for you.
No.
And you've built up a fine practice. When you're choosing an attorney, it's so important that you have a good feeling about the attorney, because you have to trust them.
Exactly. There has to be a connection. There has to be trust. And I always say with clients, we walk before we run. You know what I mean? We develop a relationship over time, and I've been truly blessed with clients that we have. They're friends. Okay, we are loyal to each other, and we've had a lot of interesting times.
And you get a lot of referrals from people who have retained you to their friends or family members.
Absolutely.
And that's got to say something. You're actually going to be back with us next week because we're going to do a business show together.
Yep.
And
very excited.
Your first show went so well. Give everybody your phone number again.
Once again, in Boca, it's 561-443-7124. And Aventura, it's 305-725-4971.
Got to give me your website, too.
www.mwfloridalaw.com.
Wow, this is going to be such a great show. See, we do read your emails. We listen to you. We're going to go to a break right now. Again, this is attorney Marlyn Wiener. She'll be back with us again next week. We're going to be talking about business law. So all you business owners, you don't want to miss this show. We're going to go to break. And we come back, we have attorney Shane Farnsworth, our personal injury attorney. We'll be right back.
The law firm of Marlyn J. Wiener, PA, is a small, focused South Florida law firm delivering high-quality legal services in a personal way. Her firm concentrates on real estate law, business transaction, and acting as a title and closing agent. Attorney Wiener combines over 30 years of solid real estate and business law expertise with understanding and compassion for her clients' needs. Attorney Marlyn Wiener works with homeowners and local and foreign real estate investors who are buying and selling Florida real estate. She assists with deed transfers, residential and commercial sales and leases, title insurance, first-time home buying, and loan closings. Whether you are buying or selling residential or commercial real estate, you need sound legal advice. The law office of Marlyn J. Wiener, PA, can help. To schedule a consultation, please call 561-443-7124.
As an experienced personal injury attorney, Shane Farnsworth understands the key to success in your case. You are entitled to compensation